Finding Baby Crow. This is a tough one, Mr. Owl thinks as he looks at some footprints. Is this a crow or a sparrow? Mr. Owl has to find his neighbor's missing baby crow. Baby Crow's parents are very worried. Mrs. Crow has a fever and Mr. Crow can't go to sleep. Mr. Owl looks closer at the footprints and decides to follow them. But they disappear after a while. This is bad, Mr. Owl thinks. He looks at his notebook for more clues. An apple tree? Maybe he went there, says Mr. Owl. Mr. Owl flies to the top of the apple tree, but Baby Crow isn't there. He scratches his head and looks around. I guess I should look for holes in the ground. He may be digging for worms, Mr. Owl says. He inspects one hole, but he only finds Mrs. Mole. Mr. Owl doesn't give up. He goes to the river next. He flies all over the river bank and looks around the bushes. Yet he can't find Baby Crow. For hours and hours, Mr. Owl looks for Baby Crow. As Mr. Owl is about to give up, he hears a sound. Caw, caw. He flies towards it. Has he finally found Baby Crow? He flies closer and finds a baby crow. I finally found you, Mr. Owl says. The baby crow looks at Mr. Owl. Who are you? He asks. I am your neighbor, Mr. Owl, says Mr. Owl. No, you're not, says the baby crow. Wait, thinks Mr. Owl. He looks at the crow and sees the one clue he missed. Baby Crow has blue eyes. This crow has brown eyes. Oops, sorry. I was looking for another baby crow, says Mr. Owl. But what are you doing out here all alone, little one? It's not safe. Let me take you to your house. He flies the brown-eyed baby home. Mr. Owl is sad that he could not find Baby Crow. Guess I will tell Mrs. Crow the bad news, he thinks while flying home. On the way, his hat falls off. Mr. Owl goes down to get it. He reaches for the hat. Just then, someone picks it up and gives it to him. Oh, thank you, says Mr. Owl. He looks up and sees Baby Crow, Baby Crow, what are you doing here? Asks Mr. Owl. Having an adventure on the last day before school starts, of course, says Baby Crow. Mr. Owl takes Baby Crow back home. Everyone's happy to see Baby Crow. Mr. Crow can finally sleep, and Mrs. Crow no longer has a fever. Another job well done for Mr. Owl.